Hey everybody, SonGoshuaku live here. Number 7, Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker. Alrighty, so here's the deal with this match to me, because let me make it perfectly clear. There was not a single bad match on this card, not at all. However, when it came to Sami and Bron Breakker, it was not as good as their Money in the Bank ladder match. So the thing about this match, it was quick. It wasn't exactly a squash match, but it was very quick, straight to the point. Sami Zayn getting basically completely overwhelmed by Bron Breakker. So a perfectly serviceable match in terms of getting what it needed to do, putting Bron Breakker over as a monster. But on a match filled with really so many good stuff, man, I just can't believe that it just what can I say? The match just didn't stand out as an all-time classic banger. Also, getting to the chat here, we've got, am I saying your name right? Nirmaro? I apologize. But yes, hey, thanks for joining in on the chat here. I really appreciate it. And yeah, Roman, we'll definitely be talking about Roman in a bit. Alrighty, so getting back to the stream here. So yeah, that's the reason why I just had to put Sami and Bron Breakker as my least favorite match. Not bad, but it was basically nothing that I thought really stood out among the next ones. Alright, so number 6, Bayley versus Nia Jax. Now, I've seen some polarizing things about this match in terms of some people liked it and some people didn't. Some people thought it was too slow, others liked the story. Well, I fall in the category of the people that like the story. I thought Nia Jax and Bayley right here did a great job of telling the story. Like I was saying in my review, I liked that Nia Jax was breaking out all the classics from former pro wrestlers, whether it was Ted DiBiase, Rikishi, or Kevin Owens, using their moves, and Bayley just really going ahead and trying to do what she can do to survive. And the awesome part where she lifted Nia Jax up and powerbomb her, that was really great. It was cool also to see, I didn't mention in my review, that Bayley broke out the old hugger gear that was very much Macho Man Randy Savage, ooh yeah, inspired, right? That was really cool. Yeah, I thought the match was good, and I thought Nia Jax definitely earned being put in this position as the world champion. It's good to see both women, how far they have come since that first match in London, because I thought this match was even better than their first match. So yeah, definitely I thought it was definitely one of the better than the first match with Bron Breakker and Sami. And overall, I definitely think, like I said, I really like the match, and that's exactly where I'm gonna go ahead and put it there. All right, our next match coming in at number 5, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Alrighty, so here's my thing. In terms of the ending with Roman Reigns, this, if it was a list dealing with, let's say, the top moments of SummerSlam 2024, this would be the number 1 spot on the list, but I'm ranking the matches. Now, like I mentioned, I didn't think this match was as good as the previous Bloodline Rules match of Roman versus Cody 2. Here's my thing. With Cody and Roman, there's a certain chemistry there. Cody and Roman have the amazing ability, to me, I feel, to take the audience on a suspenseful ride. One of the reasons I love that WrestleMania 39 match, and remember, the ending to that match was very polarizing, but Roman and Cody absolutely killed it. And even when you go to their WrestleMania 40 match, Roman and Cody still did an amazing job taking everybody on a suspenseful ride. Sure, the shenanigans added to the match, and the ending of the story, the ending was amazing, but when you take that away, you still get a really good match between Roman and Cody building up. Here, you know, it's not bad, but I don't think Solo and Cody really had that chemistry like the way Roman and Cody have it. And as a result, I think that kind of hurt the match. There was even a lot of people I heard in reviews talking about the audience and how it basically went down. The unfortunate thing is, like, I guess they were saying, like, a lot of the audience, you could tell they were just waiting waiting for Roman to come out, like, okay, when's Roman coming out and everything? And then that's when everybody became unglued, or when the shenanigans happened. Yeah, I mean, it was standard stuff, basically. And Cody and Solo, they've had good matches before, but man, I think the thing is, those are really good TV matches, but this is a PLE match, and not just any PLE. This is the second biggest PLE show of the year, SummerSlam, the WrestleMania of the summer. So you would want something that's more grandiose. And yeah, it was mostly, like I said, Solo just using his power against Cody. So unfortunately, like I said, I didn't dislike the match, but I didn't think it was the greatest thing on this, obviously, by the next matches to come. But I had to go ahead and put it over the first two, because if it did nothing else, man, the shenanigans were fun, but the ending is what we'll always remember. When that music hit, Roman Reigns coming out to, I believe, a version of his WrestleMania 40 theme. So I listened to a lot of covers of that. So I thought the music was fantastic. You know, it gives Roman a much more heroic vibe, not too similar than what they did with Rock and Austin. If you guys remember Stone Cold, when he was a heel in like 96, 97, he came out with the dun 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 dun. And then when he became babyface, it kind of got more upbeat. Dun, 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 dun. Same thing with The Rock. As a heel, he started off with, "Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?" Dun, 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 dun. And then, you know, when he got more babyface, he was like, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking," dun, 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 dun. You know, and that's what they've done with Roman. So, you know, he's getting that Rock and Stone Cold generational talent treatment. So a lot of people kind of were getting into when Roman, they said the music and everything, but hey, I thought it was really awesome. But yeah, when Roman Reigns came out, man, that whole place became unglued, because when Roman was walking out with that slow thought, and you know, I think with the slow walk, and you had the fans, all the commentators going like, which side is he on? And when he ran in, I've watched it several times, and it's only been 48 hours since the show happened. I've watched it several times. When Roman Reigns runs in and runs right towards Solo, boom, with the Superman kick, man, gives me goosebumps every single time. I wish I could be like The Rock, like, look at those goosebumps, right? That was fantastic. That was amazing. You get the whole thing too, where, you know, it goes back to the story of Solo Sikoa, where he was talking like, if Roman Reigns wants to do something, then he can show up and do something. And oh boy, he did. Because like I said, as a fan, I was out of my seat. I'm like, yeah, what you thought it was, Solo? What you thought it was? And when he came back, you could feel it in your soul when Roman did the ooh, ah, and hit the spear on Solo Sikoa. Fantastic moment, and just the storytelling between Cody Rhodes looking shocked and Roman basically getting him his nod of approval, respect, leaving. Man, that was a fantastic part of the match, and Cody ends up picking up the win for a third time, I think, against Solo Sikoa. And just the way it left it, where it's like, you know, Roman, he didn't do this for Cody, but he rather, that speaks to the story, that he would rather cost his own family, his own flesh and blood, because he felt so disrespected about it, that he go ahead and give the victory over to Cody, the man that took his world championship reign from him that he had for almost nearly 4 years. Powerful storytelling, and truly why I at least had to put it above this. But that's where I go. When you take away the epicness of the finish and you're left with just the match, I don't think the portion of Cody and Solo, though it was good, it wasn't the greatest. So yeah, I'm gonna switch over here to the chat now and see what we got. See, do you know, okay, so we got here, do you know about Roblox? Not really. I don't play it and everything. I heard it's very popular among a lot of people, but no, it's something I've never played before. Hey, what up? We got SMP in the chat. All right, let's see. Solo isn't a complete threat like his boys are threatening, but he got owned several times against Cody. yeah, it's like I was saying, SMP. Man, and you know, I see hey, Roman helped Cody. Yes, he did. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, like I said, it really came down to Roman here, you know. And yeah, I know the audience, they have to do more with Solo Sikoa. They did a lot of talking about how he defeated how he ended up defeating, what was it, he defeated John Cena, and now he's gonna come in to take on Cody. But it's like, us fans, we're not gonna forget. We're not gonna forget that that Solo had been losing all his matches before then, which was a complete waste. You get a big clean victory over John Cena. That's gotta mean something. We lived through that era where John Cena rarely lost, so at least clean. So yeah, definitely. And that may have hurt the audience reaction to it. I think it's been great to see Solo doing more things, but yeah, like I said, this was just off the chemistry that Cody has with Roman. I just don't feel it was there with Solo, and that's why I had to rank it here in the middle of this list and everything. But ending spectacular. That at least makes me not make it the least favorite. And let's see, we got one more comment before we move on here. Hey, but what Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, please? Oh, well, hey, you are right in time, my friend, because we are going to move on to number 4, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Yes, as great as the ending of the main event was, when we're talking about a list of matches, this was my number 4. Now we're getting to like the top of the top for me. I enjoyed Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. The psychology of it, how Rhea was basically overpowering Liv Morgan, and then when Rhea ended up getting her shoulder smashed, Liv took advantage of that. I love the way the story played out. I love how, you had Dominik Mysterio taking the chair away from Rhea Ripley, saying, hey, you gotta you can't get yourself disqualified, but in reality, he's throwing it right in there, distracting the referee so that Liv Morgan could hit the oblivion. And I love how they tried to play it off. The way the commentators did Dominik make a ridiculous mistake again, like when Becky Lynch ended up losing the title to Liv Morgan. That was fantastic. And you see Dominik smiling after Liv Morgan gets the 1, 2, 3, and the whole reveal when he picks up Liv Morgan and kisses her right in front of Rhea Ripley. Fantastic. And man, there are just so many story layers to this and everything. Just man, yeah, right there, as you see, Liv Morgan win, Dominik Mysterio betrayed Rhea Ripley. Fantastic storytelling that was, because, man, it's things like this that I love in WWE so much, because here's the thing, too, with the story that I've learned a few days that I didn't think about during my review. Especially with another betrayal that ends up happening, and I'll mention that when we get to that match. But yeah, you think about Dominik Mysterio. Look at how he was physically abused by Rhea Ripley. Basically, she beat him up until he agreed to be in a relationship with her. He manipulated him into going against his family. So there was a lot of toxicness in the relationship within in the terms of the storyline. And now you got Liv Morgan who comes along, like she said in that one thing, that one phrase where she says, someone like Dominik shouldn't be with a woman that demands him to call her mommy. Instead, he should be with a woman like her that wants to call him daddy. And he look at the success he got beating his father. Liv Morgan really is treating Dominik like a king, whereas Rhea, like they were saying, Michael Cole in commentary, she was being treated like his boy toy. So it really was just such great storytelling, and I'm a sucker for great storytelling. But this match, everything from start to finish just made sense, and it was time for Rhea Ripley to certainly, I feel, move on, because she's outgrown the Judgment Day and as a baby face. So I think it works. And with that being said, this is something good for Dominik Mysterio. We've seen him kind of be like the cowardly heel. Now we can see him morph into this sort of character that's more slimy, and he can now, be manipulate others and stuff. And it's good to kind of see the more smarter side now of Dominik Mysterio and how slick he can be and everything. So it's going to be really interesting, and it gives Liv Morgan something to do in continuing to enhance her character. So yeah, I really loved it as an opening match. And yes, we'll get a much more brutal match, I believe, down the line. Alrighty, so we're going to move on to I got my graphics mixed up. I'm getting used to this live stream. All right, number 3, and actually this goes perfectly right here. Yeah, LA Knight versus Logan Paul. Yeah, so we are now in the top of the top 3. This match, I thought, was incredible. absolutely incredible. LA Knight and Logan Paul. As I mentioned, I don't follow Logan Paul outside of WWE. But when I look at this match, just one more example of why this man gets the job done in the ring. And LA Knight was on fire. The story, the back and forth action between the two, how hot the audience was for this, man. Like I said, you still had some great things, as you see in the graphic I'm using. That brain buster off the top rope was insane and really goes to show LA Knight's professionalism of being able to make sure he pulled that off without breaking Logan Paul's neck, as well as Logan Paul for being able to position himself just right to make sure his neck didn't get snapped. And don't forget about that insane move. I've watched that several times now over the last 48 hours where and I think I got it more right now because I think I said he jumped in the middle rope and then to the top rope, but really he jumped from the canvas to the top rope, twisting in midair, and then did the back the moonsault onto LA Knight. And man, that looked fantastic. Amazing, freakish athleticism by Logan Paul. And seeing the big win of LA Knight win is just amazing. Just to see how long this guy actually was went without being champion. As you see there on the screen, LA Knight wins the United States Championship, and it was so long overdue. And it's a testament to, like I said, his skill and how he was able to stay over for a year plus without the WWE doing super much, a lot of things to do a lot basically with him and get him in that spot. So yeah, and as a match, man, this was like one of the top matches. Definitely, I think it was number 3, top 3rd best match on the entire show, and was definitely something that I think we'll remember for a long time to come. All right, I'm gonna take a sip of water here before we move on to number 2. All right, number 2, Damian Priest versus Gunther. When I tell you guys, it was so hard for me not to rank this number 1. Man, because when I was deliberating yesterday over which matches, because like I said, just all these matches were good. There was not a bad match on the show, which is definitely a good thing to have. If I have to sit here and struggle thinking of how to rank these, then that means Triple H is doing a phenomenal job, honestly, and especially with most fans and all this stuff. But man, I'm looking at this and wow, Gunther and Damian Priest, this was just super hard hitting. From bell to bell, I think in terms of action, this was certainly the best match from in just pure action. These guys went at it. The hard chops, Gunther being chopped so hard he had blood dripping down his I think his left chest. Man, that was fantastic. But as I mentioned, I'm a stickler for storytelling, and it didn't get much even better than this with the storytelling and the action combined, because man, the storytelling aspect of this was great, with Finn Balor coming out and how they played that whole story full circle. Let me get my graphic back up here. Full circle, because as you put it right there, Finn Balor betraying Damian Priest, like that was really well done. Excellent done, because man, the way they played off the camera angles where he ended up putting his foot on the rope and Damian Priest is looking up at the Titantron and he turns around to Finn, and you know he's getting, like I said, they almost had me in my review. I said they almost had me when he was in that sleeper hold by Gunther and he almost passed out, but then he broke out, but he just couldn't finish off Gunther. He had to get immediate revenge out of the shock of it all to try and choke Finn Balor, which led to, you know, of course, Gunther getting the sleeper hold on Damian Priest. So I thought the storyline was phenomenal, and that's like I said, that's the last thing that Damian saw before he passed out, was Finn Balor giving him that death stare. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying, is that it was time, I feel, for both Rhea and Damian Priest to leave the Judgment Day. But this is something that I didn't pick up until after I did my review. It really is coming around full circle, because Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, they were the ones that brought Finn Balor into the Judgment Day, and they exiled Edge out of it, and he was the one that brought them together. And now 2 years later, I'm thinking, like, what's the one actor in George of the Jungle live action movie? You could imagine in story, if Edge was still around in WWE and not AEW, this is the part where he would look into the camera and be like, this is where we look into the camera and point and laugh. Ha 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 ha. because that's exactly what he could do now. He's like, how gratifying would that be for the Edge character in WWE to see that, oh, you brought this mother effer into this group, took me out, and 2 years later, look at that. He's betrayed both of you, man. And like I said, it was time. Damian Priest and the Judgment Day was good. It helped bring Rhea and Damian Priest, and I think everybody involved, it helped bring their characters to new levels. And now that Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are over as solo acts, you can let them go on and do their own thing. Like I said, I know in real life they're all like brothers and sisters, but in terms of what we're seeing here on screen and story, I think it is time for Rhea and Damian Priest to move on, and you can have the Judgment Day continue now with maybe Liv Morgan or Dominik. We'll see what they do on Monday Night Raw tonight. But yeah, this was fantastic, hard-hitting action, and that's the thing. Gunther, you know, he ends up on a lot of these. I feel like I don't rank all the WWE PLEs, but if I did outside of the big four, I feel Gunther would end up at least close to, if not number 2 or number 1 spot. His matches are just that good, hard-hitting, very believable, because obviously he's chopping the crap out of all of them. And once again, I'm just so glad. I am so glad to see that Damian Priest and Gunther, you had a first-time world champion and a first-time number 1 contender for the world title, basically going at it. And this is the future. This is what we need to see more of. Yeah, both of them are not at that, I would say, household name yet, but you got to put these guys, these newer and younger guys, you've got, and gals as well, you got to put them in these positions to see if they can handle the main event scene, and because that's going to pave the way for a long time to come. You know, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, they're not going to be around forever, so you need to start building up that future, and that's what I'm glad Triple H is doing. All right, we're going to go back to the comments here and check out some of the comments before I head to the number 1 spot. See what we got here. We have Honey Bear X, thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Love how Priest was trying to snatch Balor after he found out he researched the footage. Yeah, that was great. Once again, just with WWE, you have Triple H, and ever since they've gotten their new production team, they're always doing things from a production standpoint that just makes so much sense, and it's really great to see. Just fantastic. I really like that touch of him looking up at the Titantron and stuff instead of wondering what happened. Let's see, next thing you said here, the big question is, who gets Carlito in the divorce? I saw a meme earlier from like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, the part where Will Smith's character is just standing along. They got that wide shot of him standing in like the empty house looking, and it's like, that's gonna be Carlito tonight on Monday Night Raw. Like, yeah, whose side is he on? Who does he join? So yeah, that's gonna be great to see. Let's see, Gunther wins a World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I love that Gunther, once again, as I said in my review, I love that Gunther had that old school up the ladder type of rise to the world championship. Didn't bring him in as world champion for like his first month and give him a nice 4-month reign and have him go down for several years in the mid card as the champion. No, you built this guy up strong out the gate, build him up as the Intercontinental Champion for a year plus, and made him, you know, make that mean something, and then you bring him in as the world champion. So yeah, Gunther's rise has been really good. Just tremendous to see. All right, before we get to our number 1 spot, gonna go ahead and get some water here. All right, number 1, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee. Yeah, like I said, it was a really tough decision, but the part of me as a fan that just loves storytelling, man, I had to go with this one because the storytelling was on point. There was not a lot of fancy things in this. CM Punk, I think, pretty much worked relatively safe, given the injuries that he's coming off of. Drew McIntyre was definitely willing to keep things safe. Like, I don't even think he hit the they didn't even risk going to the Future Shock DDT, which I actually personally think, at least when Drew's champion, should be called the Present Shock DDT. But that's a whole nother story for another time. But yeah, man, one thing I didn't mention in my review that was really cool, someone pointed out, is that you, of course, obviously, CM Punk came out in the Bret Hart inspired gear, but you could kind of look at Drew McIntyre's jacket was inspired by The Undertaker, and obviously Seth Rollins is the referee, so this was definitely paying tribute to the classic SummerSlam 1997 match of Shawn Michaels being the special guest referee versus The Undertaker and Bret Hart, which is an all-time classic. And man, everything really worked. The story, I don't think Seth Rollins at all distracted from the action. He helped very much add to the story. And I guess some people were ragging on this online because they said this is over a bracelet, but it's what those bracelets mean. To not get too much Dragon Ball talk, I remember in the Funimation dub, there's a cool line where Krillin and Gohan, known as Krillin in the dub, they are trying to get these pearls from under the water, and these fish are willing to fight for it. And I remember Krillin is basically like, oh man, he's like, they're a bunch of dumb fish, what do we want with it? And Gohan's like, yeah, it might not mean anything to us, but it means something for them and they're willing to fight for it, so hey, we might as well just go about our business. So I say this to say that basically that's the whole idea here for people who are ragging on this match because of it. Yeah, this little bracelet might not mean nothing to you, but obviously if someone made it for CM Punk to just show their appreciation to him because they know how much AJ Lee, his wife, and his dog Larry means to him, yeah, that means everything. So I thought it worked good, and they played it off really well in the story, from when it was on the bracelet to when it was on what's not his bracelet, but it was on Drew McIntyre's hand, when it was on Drew McIntyre's wrist, and CM Punk could have made him tap out, but nah, he had to go for the bracelet and cost himself that. I love the part where CM Punk basically he also had Drew beaten again with the GTS, but then he noticed, Seth Rollins is wearing the bracelet, so he has to go after that. Like, man, those were just fantastic story details. CM Punk just couldn't let his emotions just couldn't keep his emotions in check. He had to let it get the better of him, and you see that he ends up taking out Seth Rollins with that GTS. And I didn't get to mention, as you see I'm using right there as the graphic, Drew McIntyre hitting CM Punk with the low blow behind Seth Rollins' back and then hitting him out with the Claymore. And I just loved once again the finish of how Seth was woozy coming to. He's like, one, he's like two, and just like Shawn Michaels in 1997, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it, but Drew's like, do it. And he reluctly goes three. Ring the bell. It's over. Drew McIntyre wins, and how he picked up the bracelet and walked out. Man, fantastic. But as Seth Rollins said, it played so much into the story because he told CM Punk, your actions have consequences. And man, that was the story of this entire thing, how CM Punk's actions constantly had consequences. The consequences of CM Punk's actions, from not taking the win when he had Drew put away multiple times, but he had to let his emotions get it, and he paid the consequences for it. The actions of assuming Seth Rollins did not mean well, which, like I said, he should have probably just put it in his pocket or handed it over to the ring announcer, but to wear it and you've got issues with this guy that's unhinged, Seth in the story should have definitely probably known better. But being said, the whole thing is, I love how it's CM Punk's actions to take out Seth Rollins had consequences, allowing Drew to get the victory, and Seth Rollins basically, doing it. He realized he had to count this guy out because, man, wow. Just so much fantastic storytelling. It's like Triple H said during the post conference, this was a storytelling masterpiece. And I think when it comes to pro wrestling, as I've mentioned so many times, when it comes to pro wrestling, is that you're going to have certain things, basically you have those characters and you have those stories that are so culminating, and it builds into a match like this. It's fantastic. I'm definitely looking forward, and some people I heard were disappointed that this match didn't end up being an all-out bloody brawl. Give it time. Let the story build. It was a great first match because they had to reflect in the rules of what Seth Rollins was and wasn't going to allow. And this can all culminate, like I said, in Hell in a Cell in October at Bad Blood for CM Punk to get the big win back, because you got to think about the rest of the fall. I thought this match was fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. Obviously, I had to put it at number one. It was such a storytelling masterpiece, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So let's go to the chat here and see what's being said here. Let me get some water first. All right, let's see what we got here. Gunther, oh no, we already went to that one. Seth Rollins have a CM Punk bracelet, and CM Punk do the GTS to Seth Rollins. Yeah, fantastic parts of the match. This match had some really great parts to it. Punk finally coming back and finally having his first WWE singles match after many years. Drew, who has been wanting nothing but revenge on Punk. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the story. Fantastic storytelling. I agree with you so much. Yeah, the story, absolutely fantastic. I love the irony of the ending. CM Punk, in the end, lost the way Drew did because his anger on Drew, revenge consumed him. Seth did great work feeding on both of the reactions. Yeah, it's what carried this whole match. The match was just, it's amazing. And I mentioned too in my review that when they were doing just a lot of basic stuff, the fans started chanting, "This is awesome. This is awesome." And that is the power of storytelling, the power of characters. When you are that over in wrestling, you don't need to do a lot of fancy stuff. Nothing against the people in wrestling who does the fancy stuff, because I think there's room for all different type of varieties in pro wrestling. But there is something to be said of when you can keep it simple and get over. This story was so well built that they didn't have to do much, and it really worked with the strengths and weaknesses that they can do in terms of making sure they didn't risk anything too critical in this match for like injury or anything like that. That was a sad ending. Yeah, sad ending indeed for CM Punk, because man, wow, yeah, it was heartbreaking for CM Punk story-wise, but I think it was definitely best. You want to give Drew the big win. He's a happy man, right? So he can gloat about that, and CM Punk now, has to fight his way back up, and allows us, the fans, get a lot more behind him and wanting to see him get that win. And like I said, I can't blame WWE in my review. I think they wanted to play it safe as well, because in the event CM Punk did get injured again, at least they've got a worked in story with Drew McIntyre. The difference here, thankfully, CM Punk didn't get injured, and I hope that those freak accidents we can now put behind him. That means that moving forward now, we can have Drew McIntyre and CM Punk moving forward, as Drew now just brags about how he beat CM Punk, and there's no reason for a rematch. So yeah, I think it's definitely going good there. And so, yeah, that pretty much wraps up my ranking for this podcast for the WWE show. So I really hope you all enjoyed it. It was my first time live streaming. I thought I'd take this time now to explain why I'm doing it this way. So back in 2022 November, I started creating these really highly produced ranking videos for the WWE PLEs, the big four: Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, and everything. And I did a lot of that, but it just unfortunately takes so much time to edit as a one-man editing crew. From the writing to the recording went by quickly using my 4K camera, but once I had to gather like hundreds of images and time them according to what I was talking about, it'd be almost 3-4 months before something happens and before it goes in. Like, I just got my WrestleMania ranking video up, which is highly produced. Highly recommend watching that. But unfortunately, that's what basically happened there. It got out 1 week before SummerSlam, and I was looking here. You know what? I got so many other projects in the work, and the WWE program moves way too quickly for me as a one-man editing crew that works a full-time job and is always working out in the gym. Only so much time time I can put into editing all this stuff. So I'm moving forward to just go ahead and rank them because it allows me to get out my thoughts a lot more quicker. So they won't be as highly produced anymore, but I'm going to still bring that energy. And hey, it allows me to be more interactive. I appreciate you all coming out in the chat today, basically just to, you know, hang out and talk and everything. So yeah, it's more fun to definitely do this, I think, live stream wise. And I get it out a lot more quicker because Monday Night Raw is tonight and I don't have to wait till Survivor Series. So yeah, we think we got WrestleMania 41 is headed to Las Vegas. Yes, it is. 41, WrestleMania 41 Las Vegas. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go, but if my all-time favorite Stone Cold Steve Austin comes back and faces CM Punk, I just might have to, because that's one big thing that I want to see on my bucket list: The Rock and Stone Cold wrestle in person. So we'll see how it goes. But hey, yeah, all of you, thank you for coming out to the chat today. I really appreciate it, for you taking time out on someone who's very much still a newbie when it comes to live streaming and everything. So yeah, I really appreciate that. That being said, if you want a more in-depth analysis of the event, check out my SummerSlam 2024 review. And of course, all links are in the description / pinned comment below for my social media platforms. Thanks for watching and take care.